This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to have back on the D-Lew podcast. She is the matriarch of the D-Lew podcast. You can catch her every week on her brand new show, Lip Gloss and Ladders. It's the one and only Gabi. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Again, I can't believe I had Jimmy Corderas on the show last week. It's
That
crazy.
is so insane. It was such a good episode too.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those that that did listen to it, that hit me up, privately, publicly, I definitely appreciate it. Jimmy was such an awesome guest. He gave a lot of great insight on wrestling, in the heyday, and a little what he sees today, and how he
hmm
critiques it, what he sees, and some of the likes and dislikes. But everyone has opinions, and we have our own opinions. Today's topic actually is going to be, because we know we're not going to cover any events today. That's for next week and the week after, when we're going to talk about the SummerSlam preview show
hmm
and the SummerSlam recap show. This week is talking about the hot action right now with these feuds in women's wrestling across the major companies. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But I did mention Gabby has her own show, um, Lip Gloss and Ladders. The floor is yours. Let the people know, what it's all about, who's on there, and what to expect in the near and distant future.
So, Lip Gloss and Letters is a new podcast. We're only a few episodes in. You guys can follow us on all social media, Lip Gloss and Letters.
Mhm.
It came together about four women. We all have a love of wrestling. My co-hosts are KB, as well as Reese and Ash. We just kind of came together from a love of wrestling and decided, you
Mhm.
know what, let's make it out the group chat. Let's do something different here. And here we are. We've been here for about a month now. I love
Mhm.
it. It's fun. It is a safe space for women to have opinions. It is a safe
Mhm.
space to ask those questions that you may not ask in a normal setting, right? Because
Right.
nobody wants to be spoken to a certain kind of way when you ask questions. So we're very
Right.
big on making it a wrestling safe space.
Well, good. And I mean, I had an opportunity to listen to this past week's episode, and that led me to talk about what we're going to talk about this week. But I got to tell you, when I'm hearing four women talking about wrestling confidently and have the knowledge that you all do, they made me very proud to have you associated with this show. You bring a lot of credibility in far as what you cover, and appreciating all that you bring to the show. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you can listen to Lip Gloss and Ladders every single week. Okay, it's on multiple platforms, so make sure you check them out. But as I stated earlier, we're going to talk about the hot feuds right now in pro wrestling, and I want to kick it off with one of the hot ones that just came about the last couple of weeks, especially on the AEW side. We got the TBS champion Mercedes Moné and the former AEW Women's World Champion Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And for a lot of us, hardcore fans, that was the feud that we were saying, okay, if Mercedes signs to AEW, it's inevitable at this point that these
hmm
two are gonna lock horns. I didn't know how soon this was gonna be. I was thinking maybe towards the end of the year, maybe, but here we are. And I gotta tell you, the promos has been great. To me, has been great, and I think is really showing, another side of Dr. Britt Baker. Now, it's different seeing her in a role of a babyface,
hmm
but I think, and I alluded to this before on the show, that by nature, Mercedes Moné is a heel.
Absolutely. She's a better heel than she is face. Agreed.
100%. 100%. There is nothing about her being a babyface that will get me really interested. I think just by her demeanor, who she is as like a heel, just fits her very, very well. I
hmm
mean, think about this for a second. If you see somebody and they're they got the the rings and the jewelry and the shades, the clothes, and all of this other stuff going on, and they're saying they're the CEO, they're the boss, the legit boss, and all this
Hmm.
other stuff. You're kind of gonna like, I can't stand you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't tell if it's heel heat or if the crowd is turned on her. Can't quite figure it out yet with her.
It could be a little bit of both, but I
I think
think
it's a little bit of both.
it's a little bit of both. It's because of who they're feuding with. Now, obviously, we all know in January of 2019, when they were out in Vegas and when they did the unveiling of AEW, the first woman signed was Dr. Britt
DMD.
Baker, DMD, and she has been, to me, one of the pillars of that company.
Absolutely. Agreed.
She's one of the pillars. I know they were talking about, it's a lot of the men that were the pillars. No, Britt Baker has really been the focus,
Hmm.
from jump. You know what I mean? Obviously, her
She's
incredible that,
homegrown.
yeah, but that bloodbath she had with Thunder
Thunder
Rosa, oh
Rosa.
my God, that was an incredible, incredible match. But I just think now that just the verbal jabs have been great. And I
Hmm.
think right now, this, they're leading up to All In and Wembley Stadium. I I don't want them to even touch. You know what I mean? Like, I think touching kind of kind of takes me away out of the moment a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong,
Hmm.
but something of this magnitude where this is the first time that these two are going to wrestle. I want you could do promos. I don't mind promos and maybe doing commentary in one of the matches and maybe go face to face, toe to toe in the ring and say, "Okay, I see you, champ." But in August in Wembley, it's gonna be me and you in this ring, and I'm gonna show you why I'm one of the pillars of AEW. Or if on the other side of it, I'm gonna show you why I'm the best wrestler in this company, and I've only been here less than a year. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I think it's a combination of iron sharpens iron, right? I think that
Hmm.
one of the things with Mercedes signing to AEW was
Hmm.
were there enough things for her to do in AEW that made sense.
Okay, talk about it.
So my thoughts on that was it made sense for DMD to come back and go after her and vice versa. Because realistically, who can take the belt from Mercedes if it came down to it? Would you truly believe that I'm not even gonna name names, someone else, other women on the card could believably take the belt from Monet and it made sense?
Hmm.
DMD can. I think that number one, it's gonna be a great match.
Oh
The
yeah,
promos back and
definitely.
forth have been great. I'm there again. I'm just big on iron sharpening iron, and Sasha Monet needs a Charlotte. She needs a
Yes.
Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
And DMD could be her Charlotte.
Yeah. I get it.
That's why I thought it made sense right now. Like having Monet feud with Statlander makes no sense right now, right? Don't really
No.
want to see that. Um, her feuding with someone like Anna Jay. Not interested in seeing that. It
Nah.
just made, you know what I mean? Like it just the timing of it all made sense. So I
Right.
kind of saw it coming. Um, do I think that she could get busy with some of the Yoshi wrestlers? Absolutely. But does the average crowd want to see that? No.
No.
It has been proven
No.
before. They've given Sheeta and all these women the belts, and it just honestly it falls kind of flat. So I think again that's why I think that it made sense for DMD and Monet right now. And I'm team
Yeah.
DMD.
Right. I mean, like I said, I like both of them. And again, I want to see AEW grow. Like I really
Right.
do. There's a rumor that obviously the Warner deal has gone through because there has been some AEW content that's been popping up on
Mm-hmm.
Max, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to end up getting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it. But obviously they're going to be going to a even bigger audience if you're going on a streaming app and that type of thing. And this is where I think AEW should really dig in with more character development with their wrestlers, especially on the women's side. Obviously, Monet has the leg up, having spent 10 years under the WWE
Yep.
system. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And before the Indies, Britt Baker was just, before AEW, Britt Baker was just on the independents. You know what I mean? So the
Correct.
hardcore fans knew who she was. I knew
Mm-hmm.
who she was because heck, she wrestled at the Monster Factory.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, and that was before my time, but I knew she was there. She spent some
Hmm.
time there wrestling. She was their women's champion at the time. But the point is that a lot of besides the points you just made, obviously when there was Rio, there was Sheeta, as far as them being world champions, you said there wasn't really a lot of interest, is because some of the AEW fans may not be familiar with this stuff over in Japan. Now, the small percent they know,
Yeah.
but to the
But
average
it's
fan, it just
truly if you know, right? And you need more than if you
right.
know to sell seats. You need more if you know what I mean? Like you need more than just the 3 out of 10 people knowing who she is to get people to get the buy-in. So
Yeah, and that's exactly the point that Jimmy Corderos was making last week about, the difference between, AEW versus WWE. Obviously, with WWE, there's a more character development and that type of thing. But if you're just gonna just, book for the Meltzer rating, if you're
something to
gonna
do.
book this, I mean, okay, then after that, then what?
Hmm.
And I don't mind. Listen, dream matches are great. I love dream matches, and this is technically a dream match. You know what I mean? But if it's done right and built the right way,
It has to make sense.
agreed, 100%. But like I said, we're not going to do any predictions. Like I said, this is just strictly, these feuds that are happening. Because here's the thing: we haven't had this amount of interest in women's storylines in regards to personal issues in ring, probably ever. If you think
AEW?
about it,
Mm. Mm.
no. But WWE, I mean, I would say they've been really, especially in this new era now,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
really, really digging in and a lot of great storytelling, and they're taking their time, and they're
Hmm.
not getting 2 to 3 minute or 4 minute matches or whatever the case. They're really taking their time and making you care about each feud.
Hmm.
So as we wrap up, the Mercedes, DMD feud, obviously as we're recording tonight on a Wednesday, I would imagine we're going to see a little bit more of that,
Oh, it's
between
kind of
these
blood and
two.
guts. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have to. There's going to be something, verbally or whatever. But again, we're about a month away from the Wembley show, which will be during the day, which is awesome.
Hmm. Right?
Oh yes, it's gonna be during the day, so it's gonna be really cool. And I hope that's gonna be on Max. I really hope that's gonna be on. That's a nice way to kick off their launch of Max, because I don't know if you guys know, not to steer away from wrestling to the NBA, but it was just announced today that Warner did lose out on the NBA package, which means there will be no after this season, there will be no more Inside the NBA on TNT, which opens major doors for
Hmm.
AEW from a money perspective, more opportunities to have more shows. Maybe Ring of Honor can finally get a show on one of those channels. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. So next we have on the WWE side, because I just didn't want to do just all WWE and all AEW. I kind of want to mix and match a little bit.
Okay.
Rhea Ripley and the women's world champion Liv Morgan. Now, they're going in a different route, obviously, because we're talking about, this is dealing with a love triangle type thing. And we've seen these type of things before. Yeah, love triangle. And we all knew what was going to happen. Like once you saw Liv, because I think Liv did say, I'm going to take everything away from
Everything you
you.
love. I'm taking everything you
Everything
love.
I'm taking from you. Now, obviously, it was the title.
Hmm.
And then it's Dirty Dom. You know what I mean? It's been, the silly, I don't want to say silly in a bad way, but just the silly predicaments that Dom has ended up being in. Obviously, with her straddling him or
Hmm.
being put or being tripped on, and her
Right
face is
there.
in her yeah,
Hmm.
and then all these other things that's happening, and then of course she jumps up and kisses him, and he's about to go in for the kiss, and next thing you know, there's the return of mommy. She's coming back now. Obviously, there's been again the weeks leading up to it, where Damian Priest is saying, "Hey, man,
Cut
mommy's
it.
not gonna like that. Cut
Handle
it
it.
out. You better handle the live situation." He said the live situation. Like even when they were when she was stretching Dom's leg,
Hmm.
and they walk in, he says, "Wepa." And the funniest, the visual that I just cannot get out of my head. You see Priest, you see Carlito, and then you see Finn and JD. It's like they're like stacked, and just
Hmm.
Finn is like this. And he was like, this is a really, it's a very hard to do. And Carlito's like, well, looks pretty hard to me. I was like, oh, like what? And it's like Liv is playing the obsessive, you know, stalker girl
Hmm.
that wants the guy. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of. I don't want to say there's a lot of holes. I think it's a lot of Easter eggs that they've been leaving in this feud that's going to come to fruition. I think next Saturday at SummerSlam, because again, we never got to solve who had the hotel key.
We never got to solve that. We never. And my biggest thing on this is that I think it's a Finn Balor. I think we have to forget about like the Finn Balor factor of it all. I think it's Liv and Finn plotting against Damian Priest and Mommy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess my question is though is that does this mean this is going to be a new Judgment Day, or
I think
does
the Judgment
Judgment
Day is
Day?
done. I think it's done. I think this is gonna implode the Judgment Day. All good things must
Ugh.
come to an end.
Yeah, it sucks because the beyond. Think about this though, on how far they've come as a faction.
Yeah,
It went
from
from, remember,
Edge.
it was Edge wanting to, and it was him, Damian Priest,
Yep.
and then it was Rhea, and then it was Finn Balor. They kick Edge out of the group,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden, a floundering Dominic Mysterio joins the group, and I don't know, I believe, call me crazy, call me delusional. I think the Dom factor of him being booed out of the building every week made them a much popular group because
Absolutely.
it reminds me of the Four Horsemen back in the day. Again, in the 80s, Flair, there was a pocket of fans that cheered Flair because of his look, because of the women, the limousines, the clothes, the
Hmm.
championship belt, and all that stuff. Arn Anderson was a damn good promo, and you felt that realness out of him. And then depending upon you, they hated Ole Anderson and
Hmm.
everything, but oh boy, Tully Blanchard was the blasting cap that made the Four Horsemen really not likable at all.
Yeah, he was kind of that mesh to kind of
Yeah, and
blend
Dom,
it all.
right,
Yeah.
and Dirty Dom. I mean, literally, there were times people thought that they were actually doing piping in crowd noise. No, that was the
Hmm.
crowd. That's how much heat he had, and I'm just saying, damn,
He can't
he's
even
really
talk.
getting, yeah, and he's getting over on his own.
Hmm.
It's not Daddy doing fake. Hey, yeah, no, Dom is getting over on his own. So to me, it's like I think one of the MVPs of Judgment Day is Dirty Dom, but the Judgment Day now is like they're kind of cool, and they have a little cool factor. And I think it's Rhea and Damien that made it a cool factor.
Hmm.
But as much as I don't want to see it in, I definitely understand what you're saying. They could definitely steer left into another direction with maybe Liv and
They got to do something to stretch it out. It's got to go to Bad Blood. It has
oh,
to.
agreed.
So
Oh
they
yeah,
have to
one
do,
hundred
so it's
percent.
gonna be some shenanigans somewhere because we gotta this needs
Mm-hmm.
to marinate a little bit longer.
I
They're giving
agree.
us the match too soon, right? I say too soon. They're giving us I genuinely think it's too soon. Like I think we can kind of stretch this out a lot longer. Yeah.
I wouldn't even want, like, to be honest with you, for their match. And again, I'm not giving predictions, but I'm just giving an opinion.
Hmm.
I think that match should even be a finish. I think that should be either a double disqualification or a double count out.
Shenanigans.
Yeah,
Shenanigans.
nobody should
Yeah.
even there should be no winner of the match. I think to really stretch this out much longer,
Hmm.
I think they should do that. But people, because there are some people that have opinions about this feud, and they're talking about how they're going the cheesy route. It's this, it's that. But I'm just like, you need variety, right? On any television show, whether it's wrestling or whatever the case may be, there needs to be variety. If everyone has the mentality of, I'm going to kick your ass, whatever, then it's like, all right, then okay, she's going to kick her ass, but why? There
You need a
has to
plot
be a
twist.
why. Right, there has
You
to be
need
a
a
why in
plot twist
storytelling.
too. Agreed.
100%. Yeah,
And that's
so
why I think that Finn is gonna be your plot twist.
wow, but there has to be man, there better be a damn good reason of why.
Him and that beef with Damien has been like grooming in the background for I would say at least what 6 to 8 months now. It's time for it to come ahead.
Especially them losing the belts and all that from WrestleMania and him winning the title. And yeah, I think, and maybe, you know what I think? And maybe call me crazy. Maybe Finn definitely cost Damien, the title. You know what I mean?
Shenanigans. Shenanigans.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But no, but I really, like I said, I really like the feud is, and that people, were saying, a few years ago, all Liv and whatever, but no, like Liv is telling an incredible story right now, and this version of Liv Morgan is going to be talked about for a long time. When you look
Mm-hmm.
back, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and when you look back at Liv Morgan's work that she's been putting in, not only as a character, but also in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
people going to be, there's going to be a lot of people saying, you know what? Liv was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because, there's the whole stigma, of, oh, because of someone's looks, whatever the case, that they can't wrestle or they can't do. No, she's been down at that performance center, and she was along that group with, obviously with she was in the Dusty. I
Mm-hmm.
believe she was in there with the
Yeah, I
Dusty,
think she's
one
with
of
Dusty
Dusty's
Girls.
kids. Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So to me, she's learned a lot. And obviously being on that main roster and being around a lot of those veterans, you know what I mean? There's Natalia and there's all those others that are on the main roster, and they're all getting better together. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the fact that she won the title. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved it, in the way that she won it too, because it's like Dom was like, "Oh man, am I in trouble now?"
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. All right, so we're gonna move on back to AEW for a second, and we're gonna talk about Willow Nightingale, the Babe with the Power, and Chris Statlander. Hmm. I'll let you have the floor on this one and what you think of it, and where do you think this could ultimately go down the line.
I don't know what's happening with this feud. I understand. Well, let me rephrase that. I understand what's happening, right? Like, I get it. They're best friends.
Hmm.
But, like, I just don't. This feud isn't doing it for me. And it's crazy. We talked about this on my podcast last
Hmm.
week. Is that, like, what is AEW doing with Willow Nightingale? It's like they can't find their footing with her, which is so wild to me because everyone else wants to make Willow a star. They give her her belts. She gets to go fight
Hmm.
everywhere and do all of these things. And the AEW is just like, all right, well, go wrestle. Like, I don't even think she had a true championship run with the title because she was a international title. She had it for less than 30 days and then lost it to Monet. And again, I understand that storyline, right? Like, I understand it from the NJPW Strong Belt. I get it. But it's still just they need to just let Willow be Willow instead of putting her in these random feuds, man. And like I said, my biggest thing with it, everyone gives Willow a belt but AEW. And she is the
Yeah,
most over woman on that roster. Like, let's
yes,
not
she
play this
is.
game.
She's
Let's
very
not play this
popular,
game.
and you mean to tell me she can't be? Let me say, and I've actually shared a locker room with Willow Nightingale before, and I'm sure she don't mind me saying this. You want to talk about, and I call her my ray of sunshine because that's exactly what she is.
I met her before.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
she's positive, upbeat. Like her in is she brings a really great energy around
Hmm.
everybody, and having worked with her, and I got to experience that. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And you mean to tell me you can't have her doing Make a Wish? You can't be having her doing all these visits and these type of things. Like, have her be the face. This is where I feel as though that AEW, and again, this is not me shitting on AEW, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm
Hmm.
not. I'm talking about, this is just missed opportunities.
Correct.
Like, from a pure marketing perspective. Now, granted, they're just a television company right now. They're not touring. I get it, but there are still opportunities for for her to be seen, and they did a great job with it when she was on that talk show and she had my man in an airplane spin. Awesome, keep doing that.
Hmm.
Keep doing that. Those things. Market her. Like,
I just,
she's very, very marketable, and it's just like, what, I don't know what it is that I mean, I don't know. I'm probably gonna piss some people off when I say this, but she didn't have no championship celebration when she won the title. You know what I mean?
she
Like,
didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone puts their strap and puts their energy and their business and their money behind her, except for AEW. Like, this thing that she's doing with Statlander right now, and then you have what's his face?
Stoke.
Come on now, Stokely. I
And
don't.
I like Stoke. And I love, first of all, let me say this.
I love him.
I love Stoke. I love
However,
Stoke.
lately he's been mad corny. Like, I don't know. It's just. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's floundering to me right now. It's like give Willow something to do to put her on TV, but like give her something that makes sense. Like this just doesn't. You're stretching it, and it doesn't need to be stretched. I think
Right.
there are better quests for Willow than this.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like they were on, was it when they were on the recent pay-per-view when they were on the Forbidden Door, they were on the
Pre-show.
pre-show. The
Yeah,
pre-show, and I'm just like, okay, granted, now I know this is Forbidden Door, and I know this is the New
Long Island.
Japan ring, right? But I would have had them open the show on the main card
Nope,
since there are. But
they won't. They didn't.
I'm like, why?
Yeah, agreed. Once again, what are we doing?
Yeah, a feud of that magnitude for what they're trying to promote it as, that should have been on pay-per-view on the main card.
Missed
No,
opportunity.
and that you just again those two words I said in the beginning of this topic
Hmm.
regarding this feud are just little key missed opportunities that I think hopefully they can fix as this progresses, because again I feel as though that I know granted was that this the TBS title that she did lose, but I don't know. Would a I guess my question is, do you think a women's tag title would even matter at this point, or there's just too many damn belts to begin with? So I get it,
No,
but
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think the problem with see, I think it's the same thing that WWE has with their women's championships. Y'all don't have any true tag teams. They
right.
just throw things together, right? The only true tag team that WWE had were the Iconics, and they cut them. And now they're off both living their best mom lives. I hope to see them back in WWE soon. I
That
see Sean Spears is
was
back.
very,
That is
very,
on my
that was
wish list.
terrible.
We'll
Yeah,
see if it happens. But again, the only true
yeah.
tag team that was not just random people thrown together were the Iconics.
I will also put, and this is the beginning too, I would also put Sonya and Mandy Rose because they were Fire and Desire. They were together. As a
That's
matter of
fair.
fact, they started off on Tough Enough together. They were down at NXT together. They came up with Paige as Absolution, and they did all that stuff. That was like, and also too, Sasha and Bailey have been
Mm.
pushing for those tag titles.
They were. They
They were
were.
bugging, and they were willing to put their singles careers aside to, to for the greater good of, hey, we need this
But
division
they
to work.
weren't true tag teams. They were two individuals who came together. And that's the difference, right? A tag
Right,
team versus two individuals that come together for a common goal.
right, right.
Sasha and Bailey were two individuals that came together for a common goal. I'm not knocking it. It made sense. I
No, I
love that
agree.
they're here.
Hmm.
But again, like that's the problem AEW has. So I don't think giving them women's tag makes sense right now because for seeing them to Anna Jay and what's her face? Anna Jay and Sammy Guevara's wife, like no, I don't want to see that. I'm straight.
Oh,
Like
Ty, yeah,
yeah,
Ty
I
Mello,
don't want to see
yeah,
that. Like I'm straight. Like you know what I mean? Like there's no one really that cares that makes sense to me right now that could be a legitimate tag team, and I don't want a belt for
yeah.
the sake of having a belt.
Very true. We'll
Just
tie
my
the
take.
bow. We'll definitely tie the bow on that one for sure. I mentioned her a little minute ago, but we'll talk about it next. This Bailey Nia Jax feud.
Oh, I have theories. Let's go. Let's talk about it.
Now, at first, I was like, okay, because they're obviously Nia by winning the Queen of the Ring tournament, she was guaranteed a
Harder shot.
championship
Hmm.
title shot at SummerSlam. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, and Nia was she was getting at Bailey and even said, called her BBL Bailey. Now, honey, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to the missus as I say this.
Bailey been thick. I'm gonna say
She
it.
yes,
Bailey been
you
thick.
said it for me.
I got
Listen,
you. I got you, bro.
yeah,
Bailey been
that
thick.
she's been that for years. So
Hmm.
I was like BBL. I'm like, oh come
It's just
on.
funny. It was cute, but yeah, no,
It
Bailey been
was,
thick.
it
We all
was,
know
it
Bailey
was.
been thick. Bailey been
Right,
hella
right,
cute.
right, right, right. So you
But moving
see, I'm
on.
not in trouble. I'm not in trouble. All
I
right,
got you.
I'm not in
I got you,
trouble.
bro. I
but
got you, bro.
but you know what? I love the fact that they're really, especially with the when I don't want to say they were like via satellite last week,
Hmm.
and Bailey talked about how you hurt me because you're clumsy, you're big. I'm like, whoa.
She leaned on in that one.
Yeah, so let's talk about this feud, and like, how do you feel about where this? I mean, obviously, where it's originated from, obviously, because they do have a past. You
Yeah,
know
they
what I
do.
mean? And here we are.
Your wild card, Tiffany. Tiffany's gonna cash in. Naya's gonna win, and Tiffy gonna cash in on Naya.
And win the title?
I didn't say it's believable. We gotta see how this plays out. It's definitely gonna be some shenanigans, but I think
Mm.
that Naya wins, and I think Tiffy cashes in
Because she almost cashed in on SmackDown, was it 2 weeks ago?
multiple times. Bianca stopped her, Mexico from
Yeah,
cash too.
yeah.
But the thing about it is, I see that theory, but I don't like that theory because I think that the best money in the bank briefcase holders are your heels that terrorize your champion, and Tiffy's gonna do a great job of terrorizing the champion. Um, so we'll see, but I do think that Naya will be the reason that Tiffy cashes in. She needs a big, strong girl.
Mm.
And that is, she needs
I,
an
s-
enforcer.
true, but I think cashing in on Bailey is too predictable
That's
because
why she bashes in on Naya.
no, no, no. What I'm saying is, what about the women's world championship? You
There's
know
no
what I
need for her to
mean?
get involved in that.
I get it. I get it. But just the tease. I'm not saying cash in, but just in
But
case,
that's the
because
point, right? Again, that goes to my point that your best briefcase holders terrorize champions. And Tiffy is
yeah.
a good terrorizer. It makes sense, right? You need someone like a Carmella who's gonna just dangle that bad boy and just prance around and dance around and dangle that bad boy and be like, never mind. And then wait for the perfect opportunity
Oh yeah.
and cash that bad boy in.
Speaking of Carmella, she is so missed right now. I know she's
Oh my gosh, yes.
home being a mom and everything right now. But let me tell you, by the way, my favorite New England Patriots cheerleader is Carmella. Thank you very much. And just when she had that Money in the Bank briefcase, you were just cashing up. You would just win, 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 win. You know what I
I loved
mean?
it. I loved it.
It was incredible. But no, but I really like the fact that this allows Bailey as a babyface to work from underneath.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because now this is given an opportunity for to get that sympathy, from the
Hmm.
fans. Because ultimately it's not just a one-on-one, it's two-on-one. You're figuring you got Tiffany lurking in the background
Yep.
for an opportunity to cash in. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll give our predictions next week on that. But this was the topic I wanted to talk to you about, and this is the Push Zelina movement. And I want to quote what she said back. As a matter of fact, it was a week ago. She said, and I quote, "All my life, I've heard that my height holds me back. Today is no different. But there's just so much you can prove here and there. I've gotten to touch the ball, but never actually hold it. Give me the ball. If I drop it, fuck me. I'll fall back. But I'm ready to settle this." End quote. So,
Girl, girl, girl.
floor is yours.
So we're gonna ignore the fact that Alexa Bliss is like that tall. We're gonna ignore the fact that Sasha Banks is that big. We're gonna ignore all the fact that Carmella is not the biggest girl in the world either. Yeah, that's what you're gonna hang your hat on right now, that you're too small to be champion. Really? That's what you got. It's interesting about Selena Vega is that she has like all of the excuses in the world than to just go out there and to just shut up and wrestle. Part of Selena Vega's problem is she talks too much. Example, tweet you just read. Because again, I just picked so many flaws at that tweet. So many flaws. It's the problem of decent enough wrestler because she gets busy. I ain't gonna deny that. Selena can get
Yeah.
busy. Not a
I
doubt in
was
my
watching
mind.
her when she was in TNA, when she was a Rosita back in the
Not
day.
her NXT and her and Andrade, perfect. Like it just
Yeah.
perfect. But sometimes you just gotta shut up. You just gotta shut up. And I'm gonna give you another example of this. Zoe
Hmm.
Stark. Zoe Stark. Sometimes you gotta know when to shut up and just let stuff rock. Because once you like annoy and irritate the fan base, you're
Hmm.
done. And I think that's part of Zelina's problem is that she's irritated the fan base. And I was just like, girl, you had a great moment and you certainly can have more great moments. But you
Hmm.
gotta learn to relax and to shut up. That's just my thing on Zelina Vega. Like I don't again like I she's very talented. No one's saying that, but I just think that there's some more stuff in the background that she just needs to learn to just relax.
was listening. I was, listening to the commentary, on Monday when she was wrestling, and Pat McAfee had made mention to the hashtag push Zelina movement,
Hmm.
and there's been part of the fan base that has been, you know, champ, getting behind her and for us saying maybe we need to push her and push her and push her. Now the match she had in Puerto Rico against Rhea Ripley. Now again, to your point, that was a great moment, for her to be back in
She
her
had her
homeland and
moment
everything.
for sure.
Absolutely. And it's not like the old saying goes, it's not about going over, it's about getting over. And she's over. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Not to be honest with you, I think, and this is no offense to the wrestlers that are in the group, but I feel that the LWO thing, I think, is holding her back instead of really being on her own.
Yeah,
Because,
because it's
because
not.
no, she needs to be like when I think about Zelina Vega, I think about a strong ass New York girl who had major adversity in her life for real.
Hmm.
If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to Google it.
Hmm.
She lost her dad in the Twin Towers in 9/11. That's real life. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So when I think about her, I think about that. New Yorkers are tough. New Yorkers are strong. She don't
They
need no
aren't whiny.
faction.
She don't need a
Right. No,
faction.
she don't need a faction. Zelina Vega needs to be on her own.
Either Zelina needs to wrestle or she needs to be a manager. They got to pick a lane with her too. The balancing back and forth, it's just not working very well for her either because we're like, oh, you're managing. What you doing, girl? Like, what's happening? She needs to either be by herself or
Mm-hmm.
she needs to be a true valet. Pick a lane and stay in it. This mixing ain't working out very well for her either.
But
But like you
even
said,
like
the LWO,
right,
it's not
right.
working.
But like the thing is, like I think her and Electra Lopez could have had like in other words, instead of being valets for their respective groups, whatever the case may be, they should have been spit. I think they should have had them in the ring wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Multiple times, all these singles matches up and down the loop. That's what they should have had them doing. Just my opinion, because
You can't
have
have two strong women in a faction though, and they're both strong women.
right.
And it's
But
nothing against like
I'm talking
it's
about wrestling. I'm talking about
I
wrestling
know what you're
each
talking
other.
about.
Right.
I get what you're saying too, but I think that's part of the problem too, is that you have two strong women in a faction, and like you said, it would have made more sense to put them against each other, not with each other. Two strong women don't need to be aligned together because for what? They both can talk, they both can wrestle. So why do like they don't need a faction?
No.
So again, either make them ballets or make them wrestlers. This mixing isn't working for them. It's doing
No.
either one of them no favors. It's doing
No
no one any
favors. No,
favors.
it's not because
It's
you
doing
because
no
you're
one
confusing.
favors.
Yeah, because you're confusing the fan base by saying, well, I see her escort Ray to the ring, or you see Electra escorting Santos Escobar to the ring. You know, and you're all it. So I understand why they're there because they're representing the faction or whatever,
I
and I
get
get
it.
it. But
But
at the same token, it's like perception is reality, and in order to truly buy them as true WWE superstars, they have to be strictly wrestling, and I don't mind it at all because I know how good Zelina Vega is. You know
hmm
what I mean? I know how good she is. It's just a matter of whether they want to put the rocket on her or not. And I mean, my thing is, if they do, cool. Like she said in the tweet, she's willing. She is willing to do. Is whether or not they want to do it. Let her do it or not. You know,
hmm
we'll see. We'll definitely see about that. How in the coming weeks, because for all we know, hey man, listen, there's been rumors about this mid card women's title. I know we've been talking about the not having too many belts or whatever, but I think the WWE can utilize can benefit from a mid card title for women. I could see that.
absolutely. It makes
I,
sense.
I could totally see that happening. And
Hmm.
someone had made a mention that if they was to bring back the Divas Championship as the mid card title,
Interesting take. Don't know if I like it. I think it's
respect.
got too much history behind it for it to be a mid-card belt. And I think that once they retire things of that nature, it
Mhm.
should just kind of stay. I hate to say dead, but it should just stay where it is. Leave it retired. Bring something
Yeah,
new. Give them a women's intercontinental. Give them like you know what I mean, like the women's North American NXT. Like give them their own thing. You don't have to bring something back. Although the Divas title is actually my favorite title. Um, so I get why they would want to, but that doesn't make any sense. Leave the Divas title where it is. Retired. It's fine.
because Chelsea Green has been pushing to bring that belt back,
I
actually,
know.
which I think is a pure genius. And let me just say, if it, and I know it's not on the we're not going to talk about, but Chelsea has truly been such a contributing factor to WWE's women's division in so many ways through just comedic, just comedic value alone. And obviously, she can go in the ring, but
Yeah.
just her being able to use her "I want to speak to the manager" vibe. You know what I mean? Like huge, huge.
Hmm.
I'm glad that they're finding ways to use her in many many ways. But
Hmm.
I want to talk about this new faction who doesn't have a name yet.
The stud line.
Yeah, that I'm as someone that is I'm really good friends with one of them. I'm just like I don't know if I would call them that, but it's obviously Sonya
No, they're
Deville.
not gonna call them that. No, they're not.
No, God no. Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, and Shayna Baszler. Um, I tweeted the other day. I think I tweeted Darius. I said Deville Fight Club or something like that. Because what's crazy is that last year when I was at Mania at in LA and I interviewed Shayna Baszler, and this was completely like after we got done recording. I said, man, I said I sure wish, and this is before I knew about all the drama with Rousey. But I said I would love to see you, Ronda, and Daria in a faction together. Sorry, Sonya. Sorry, need a kayfabe, whatever the case. But I wish you guys were in a faction. And they said we tried to pitch it so many times. You know what I mean? I mean, because three legit MMA fighters in a faction that are women,
Hmm.
huge. You know what I mean? I love what they've been doing. They've been kicking people's ass. The last couple of weeks, and I hope when they do come up with a name for them, that it's going to be something that they can really market, sell merch, get behind. I would love for them to start wearing like tracksuits, matching with the logo. I mean, just really being a legit faction. You know what I mean? Your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't
Really?
know. I'm not
Are you talking
sold
about the
on it.
tracksuits or the group itself?
I mean, honestly, both. But definitely the
Really?
group. I don't. They're not. They don't. I don't know. The problem is that I don't think Sonya Deville is the one that can save Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I think Zoe Stark, again, another one who just can't. She got on Twitter and tried to criticize women too much, and we don't like that. Um, if Trish can't save you, who can?
Hmm.
I don't think Sonya Deville is the person who's going to save that group. But I don't know, for whatever reason, Shayna Baszler just can't. She doesn't resonate with the audience. I don't understand why. She's a badass. She can wrestle. She can cut a promo. Like I loved her in NXT. Her title run, flawless.
Oh yeah.
HBK loved it. Like for
Hmm.
whatever reason, it just she can't quite get foot her feeding in the ring. I'm not in the WWE as far as the crowd goes. She can wrestle with the problem. I don't know. I feel like this is just a random group thrown together. And I just maybe I need to see some more action from them, or maybe I need to see where this makes sense. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold behind this group yet. And again, I love Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
But as far as Zoe Stark goes, she's a great in ring. Her finisher, when someone takes it properly, is sweet as hell. It's
Oh, the
very
Z
crisp.
360. Yeah.
If you get the right person that can take it and sell it, it's great.
Oh, it looks
Um,
great.
it's awesome. But something I just didn't like when she jumped on Twitter and tried to attack women wrestlers personally. Like it's weird. And the fans I think have stuck with that too. Like, you're being kind of weird. Like, relax. And again, if Trish Stratus can't save you, who really can?
I mean, because this is kind of personal to me, having, my friend is the leader of this group. Remember, she came in, and it was Paige's group. You know what I mean? She came
Hmm.
in, and now she has a faction of her own. And I think this is a great way to bring her back into the fold. And like I said, it's just the aura of the group. It's like it's very serious, very like a very serious group. You know what I mean? I love the fact that obviously when Isla Dawn and Alba Fire were we're in the back and they're talking, and then Sonia and Zoe and
So Zoe
Shayna.
is the one throwing me off. I think that Shayna and Deville would be a good team. I think I get behind that. But I just something about Zoe being in this mix isn't just it's not meshing well with me. Like I said, maybe I need some more time to grow on it. Put a pin in it. We'll see how I feel about it in a month. But I don't know. It's not selling it for me.
I mean, to be honest with you, the fact that Shayna Baszler has not been a WWE Women's Champion on the main roster is
Insane. Insane.
it's I can't believe. Like, you mean to tell me that someone like Shayna, that I think that could have been a better Money in the Bank winner if you ask me, because now you're going to have a legit badass breathing down your neck, both Raw and SmackDown champion, saying, "All right, who wants it? Who wants to get
Mm-hmm.
choked out today?"
Mm-hmm.
That now
Mm-hmm.
that will be a legit threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the fact that she hasn't won any singles gold on the main roster, that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really does. But like I said, we'll see. And like I said, it's very early stages in this faction. As time moves on, they get a name, then they can start really marketing this group. And I think that's what it really comes down to. It's marketing. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you could sell on this group being, one of the best things we've seen in a long time, hey, the fans are going to eat it up.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to boo them, and you give them baby faces that they can feed off of. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's really the key. As long as they have the right baby faces that they can, because hey, keep beating up their heroes
Mm-hmm.
every week. Take them all out one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke of the tag champions earlier. I don't know whether they're heels or baby faces, to be honest with you.
They gotta be heels. They gotta
Because
be
I
heels.
now I know when they won the titles in Scotland, I mean, clearly that was their hometown, and I get it. But I just didn't.
They did,
I'm
yeah, they just
because how they come off as heels.
yeah. They come off as heels. Very much so.
So, but the fact, but to kind of sum it up, this episode to talk about women's wrestling in this light. We've been clamoring for it. We've been wanting it, and for more women involvement with storytelling and everything. And here we are. We're doing an entire episode dedicated to women's wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and how far we've come since bra and panty matches. You know what I mean?
Oof. Yeah.
Or all that crazy attitude era stuff that we don't want to talk about, or the mid 2000s. And I will never crap on the Divas era. I won't do that because they were only doing what they were told. You know
100%.
what I'm
Not their fault.
saying? There was
Not their
That's
fault.
not their fault at all. And I mean, hell, Maurice can really show. She showed you a few years ago in the mixed tag match with her and Miz
She
against
can wrestle.
Edge and Beth. Oh yeah, Maurice can wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that they were not allowed
She didn't
to.
have to, right. She didn't
Right. They
have
were
to.
right, exactly. So I mean, to me, I would love to see an evolution too. I know Bailey was talking about it on Cody Rhodes' new video podcast. So what do you want to talk about? Is on his
Mm-hmm.
bus. Kudos
Mm-hmm.
to Cody Rhodes on doing more cool stuff. And the fact that there hasn't been an evolution too, I'm just like, what are they waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, there's far more than enough women in WWE now.
Yeah, but it has to make sense. And that's the problem with Evolution 1. It just the timing wasn't there. I don't think they were ready for Evolution when it happened.
Where there was a lot of legends that they had, because remember they had to fill a lot of spots. There was
And
a
that's what I'm
lot of legends they
saying.
had to
They
bring back, but
weren't,
right.
in theory, it sounds great, but I don't think it was executed to the best of their ability. So if they
Well,
brought it back, they'd have to bring it back and then have to mesh it better. I don't know. It just didn't, it like I said, it was great in theory. It just I don't think it was executed that great.
it was who was in charge at the time. Let's not forget. And now that there's new management, there's new
Hmm.
creative, there's plenty of ways where they can do it. You have feuds now, on TV, and they can include NXT in this
Hmm.
deal. You can have a women's tag team title match with whoever the champions are on the main roster versus NXT.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that championship is eligible to be defended on all three brands.
Hmm.
So it makes sense to have that, or have maybe the North American title could be defended on Evolution 2. Also there it could be done It's just a matter of, okay, what's gonna main event, what's gonna close out the show, how do we send the fans home happy? That's the most
Mhm.
important thing.
Hmm. Agreed.
Well, I gotta tell you, this was a fun episode. I mean, obviously, we're not covering any events this week. This is more or less for us to kind of just
Chit chat.
highlight,
Have a
chit
little fun.
chat, highlight, a lot of the great things that's happening in pro wrestling across all companies.
Hmm.
With AEW again, there's the rumor, it hasn't been inked yet, but there is the rumor that, the Warner Brothers Discovery deal is in the process of going through.
Hmm.
Hence why the Mac there's content being that's being uploaded to Max. And if that means that their pay-per-views are going to be shown on Max, that is a huge game changer for AEW. I think that's going to garner more viewership. I think that's going to thus lead to more viewership on their TVs as well.
Hmm.
So kudos to them, and I'm hoping for big things with for AEW. So as always, give out your social media, your handles and your YouTube and where they can listen to the show.
You guys can find me at Charm City Gabby across all platforms. And you can follow my podcast, Lip Gloss in the letter N Ladders, on all platforms as well. We drop every Monday.
Well, like I said, I'm proud of you of the
Thank
leaps and
you.
bounds that you're taking. I know there was one situation you had to leave, but in order to create something bigger, and I think that's a key, aspect of business is where sometimes you have to like go where you wanted and go where you deserve to be, and you deserve to be on the platform that you're on with the other three young ladies. And like I said, I hope to stop by the lip
Absolutely.
glossing ladders and talk about some wrestling and dig a little deep as far as hey, I'm down for a good wrestling conversation, that's for sure.
While I have your attention, I need to publicly give you your flowers. I think that your platform is awesome. You've always supported me personally. We've had plenty of conversations today. We met. You became like my instant best friend. And I just want to always
Mhm.
thank you for like pushing me forward and being like, you can do that. You can do better. You can do this. You can do that. Like, thank you for always supporting me and always bringing me on your show. Just, I appreciate it. And again, it's going where you want it. And I've never felt like you didn't want me around. You know what I mean? Like I just always appreciate you pushing me to do better and to do bigger things. Like I have to give you your flowers publicly on your show and just truly from the bottom of my heart say
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
like I said, like I said, this show, when I launched this show, relaunched the show back in January of 2023 after a 9-year hiatus of I wasn't sure what the show was going to be. I had no idea. It
Hmm.
went from being one idea of having some wrestling and having a lot of, music and acting and all that till it's become, and Believe Network told me, yo, dude, you know a lot about wrestling, give us more wrestling content. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, all right, cool. I just needed someone that understands wrestling, that watches all promotions just like I do. And I felt as though that, a couple months after we had met in LA last year, that
Hmm.
you would be the perfect fit, for this show for us to do what we do every time, when there's an event happening or we got to recap something or a show like this, where we could pick a topic and say, hey, let's talk about women's wrestling right now and how
Hmm.
hot it is because there's just certain thing that everyone talks about the obvious stuff till it's nauseating. It's like, okay, I want to hear it. But I
Hmm.
think in these instances, being able to talk about the positive things that's been happening in pro wrestling, I think is key. And there's nowhere to go but up. So, like I said, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're on the show. And like I said, big things for us in the near and distant future for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
You got it.